Howdy, welcome to Horticulture Innovators, the podcast series where we will explore impactful innovations in horticulture. I'm Amit Dhingra, your host. I'm a professor and head of the Department of Horticultural Sciences at Texas A&M University. In each episode, we'll explore the inspiring stories of the pioneers who are contributing to sustainability, wellness, and food security through their amazing work in horticulture. Today, we are very honored to have Lisa Whittlesey, who perhaps has done something very unique that has had a big societal impact, not only in our own society here, but worldwide. And today I just want to learn that from you, Lisa. I just want to have a conversation about that. So if you don't mind, just introduce yourself briefly, and then we will go from there.
Sure. Again, my name is Lisa Whittlesey. I am fortunate to be a extension program specialist in our extension part of the Department of Horticultural Sciences. And I have to say that, I kind of grew up in agriculture. My family raised cattle, and, we always had big gardens and things like that. But when I came to A&M, I didn't start out in horticulture. I took horticulture as an elective, and I'm like, wow, I love this. This is where I want to be. But I had a lot of interest in communications, so I'd started out in agricultural communications and got my degrees in horticulture and ended up doing my student teaching. And I thought, really, I'm going to teach high school horticulture. That's what, I thought that's what I want to do. And about the time I was finishing my master's, the federal prison contacted our department and said, we'd like to have somebody with A&M helping to organize and start our horticulture program. And our department head at the time came to me and said, Lisa, this sounds like a great fit. And I'm like, okay, I've never taught at a prison, and I was a little nervous about that, but I ended up teaching there for about 8 years. And you may be like, how does this have anything to do with the kids gardening program? Well, what I saw there is that we're in the plant business, but we're really in the people business. And it's really about how plants in horticulture and gardening impact people. And wow, I saw a huge difference with my students. A lot of them, it was the first time they were successful with something, and they were so proud of their garden and the plants that they grew. And having experienced that, as well as when I did my student teaching, seeing the impact that gardening had on students, I thought, wow, there's got to be something to that. But at that time, we really didn't have a lot for younger kids. And my students at the prison said, we want to garden with our children that are able to come.
That's fascinating.
Well, we didn't have anything, right? we had no resources. So I got with several friends that were good at writing grants and helped us, and we got our first funding to start this idea of a junior master gardener program. Well, I had no idea that it would grow to what it is, but really that opportunity to teach at the prison and really to see the impact that gardening can have on people really helped to set the stage for what can we do to reach kids when they're younger.
Sure. So I have a question. I think this is a new aspect. I've heard you mention this in the past, but I have a general question. Why start a horticulture program in a prison in the first place?
Well, the prison was really interested in something that could be job skills training for their inmates, and they also wanted something that could provide beautification and can provide opportunities for growing fruits and vegetables that they could use there at the institution. But I think the added benefit that they may not have realized at the time was just the impact that it could have on students' self-esteem and
or the individuals there who are
yes,
there.
they were happier, they enjoyed being there. The comment I got a lot was, wow, when I'm here and I'm in the garden and I'm in the greenhouse, I just don't feel like I'm in prison. And so that just opened up a lot of doors, and I still keep up. A lot of my students reach out to me. Many went on to work in the horticulture industry, but the fact that it made such a difference in them, and they wanted to share that with children, I just thought, we need to have something.
Absolutely.
we had this wonderful adult Master Gardener program. We had the largest in the U.S. We still do, right? But we just didn't have really a organized program for kids, and there wasn't a junior Master Gardener program anywhere else. So, you know, the exciting thing is I got to really develop something, from the ground up, which was fun.
Well, I'm eager to talk about the Junior Master Gardener program, but one lingering question.
Okay.
How many prisons across the United States may have a horticulture training program?
I don't know a specific number, but I know that the prison system I worked within was in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which there were a number of prison facilities within the Federal Bureau of Prisons that had prison educational programs. We also, because of my background and experience in that, we have a number of prisons within the Texas Department of Criminal Justice that we've helped either staff through the Wyndham School District or community college staff that may offer horticultural training programs that we've worked with to help them and to offer certificates and joint opportunities with their college and with the Department of Horticultural Sciences.
So not only it benefits them while they're learning, but also when they it helps them rejoin the society more productively.
Absolutely.
Wow, it's a win-win, right?
Well, it's a total win-win, and they get out not only with job skills training, but with certification, and just really an opportunity to start over. In my class, I used a lot of horticultural analogies, and we always had a compost pile, and my students were like, you know, the compost pile can be the pits when you're putting stuff in there and turning it, but they said, you know, it really is turning like a bunch of unwanted things into something beautiful. And one of my students said, you know, I have a lot of yuck that I've had in my life, and this reminds me that it's kind of like me, that I can start over and I can turn over a new leaf and I can have something in my life that's wonderful and beautiful and productive that can help others grow. And I thought, what a great example, right? Of kind of full circle, right, if you will.
Well, we are both plant nerds, so I know one thing is I always share this with my students is plants are amazing. You chop the top, they still have the roots, they'll grow back up. If you chop the roots and put them back in the ground, they make the roots. I mean, they find a way to grow and survive. So that's just the resilience of plants is really inspiring.
Well, and you know, plants, and I saw this with my students at the prison, I also see it with children, that plants don't really care what you look like, and they don't care how old you are. They just respond to the care that's given, right? So as long as there's somebody that's watering and tending and caring for them, and I think that's a beautiful thing too, because sometimes some of the students I worked with when I was teaching at the prison, and in some of the children that might be doing junior master gardening, you know, they may not have had success maybe in the traditional setting, right? And the garden is a way that a lot of kids have the opportunity to really be successful and show that success.
Well, so how long ago did you start the Junior Master Gardener program?
Well, we got our very first grant funding, I guess, let me think, this has been a while, 1998. And so we had our first curricula come out in 1999, and we introduced it at the International Master Gardener Conference. And at that time, the Texas Master Gardener president, we were hosting the conference in Texas, and she's Marva Beck, and she said, I want to have the very first junior master gardener program get their certificates. And I said, well, you go, girl. And so she did, and she enrolled, and we had the very first group of kiddos get their certificates from Leon County. And they came to Texas A&M for their graduation, and we had a big ceremony, and we went to the top of the Caulfield press box, and we had some of our administrators that were there to give them their certificates, and a lot of press about it. But the cool thing about it is we had several in that group that came to A&M and majored in horticulture, which was really amazing, right? So, you know, at that time, I mean, we knew that it had the potential to be big, but it grew exponentially. So within the first 5 years, we had expanded beyond Texas into many other states. And now we have programs in all 50 states.
Wow.
And we have collaborations with 38 other land-grant universities where we work with their designated junior master gardener coordinator to implement the program. And then we do a lot of international projects with the Borlaug Institute.
Wow. Well, before you mentioned the name Kyle Field, and people who are outside of Texas A&M might not know, but the name Kyle, E.J. Kyle, he was one of the department head for horticultural sciences.
That's a full circle, isn't it?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So this is fascinating, and of course a lot of people attend. It's one of the largest football stadiums in the country, and so I mean, there's that connection as well. One question that emerges is, when was that exact moment? Who were you having a conversation with where you said, well, I'm going to start the Junior Master Gardener program? I'm sure you hadn't even thought of the name at the time,
well,
or did you?
My very good friend and colleague at the time, Dr. Doug Welsh, was the Texas Master Gardener Coordinator. And I just remember having a conversation with him, and I said, there's something to this, and I think we need a program like the Master Gardener program, but for kids, like a Junior Master Gardener program. But because there wasn't one, we weren't sure exactly how to organize and how to set that up. So that was kind of exciting to think about. One of the smartest things he suggested is he said, there's not a lot of national structure to the Adult Master Gardener program. And he said, there's really opportunity for you to trademark and to really A&M be the home for the Junior Master Gardener program. So we did that, and we trademarked the term Junior Master Gardener in the curricula, as well as our logos, and we copyrighted the materials, not to prevent people from using it, but we wanted to be able to protect that, right? And we didn't want people going and selling Junior Master Gardener whatever, right? We wanted it to really be affiliated with A&M and with our land-grant university partners. And so that was a positive thing that I think he helped us to realize. And then we knew that it had to look a little different than the adult program. The adult program has set number of training and instruction hours, and then they have to give so many hours of volunteer service. And we knew that, okay, if it's going to work, we need to meet children where they are. So we have to have something that could be used in schools. Because if it could be used in schools, it could be in after-school programs, or it could be in summer camps. So we hired teachers, and we brought people together on a writing team that have an educational background to make sure that we could meet the educational requirements.
And this was the funding that you got that enabled that?
Exactly.
Who funded that? Who was the visionary who provided the funding?
It was through Houston Endowment, which is a large foundation in the Houston area, and my good friend was the director of the 4-H Foundation at that time, and so he helped me to write a proposal. I'd never had a grant writing class, and so it was a little bit of baptism by fire, but it's an easy sell, because when I had the opportunity to go and talk to them, and I said, look, I want something that we can create that could help children. It's about growing kids, right? And we're using gardening as a tool to grow kids. And wow, it's easy to talk about that because it's benefiting kids. Our mission is really to grow good kids and igniting a passion for learning, for success and service,
and develop compassion.
Right.
Because all it takes is care. As you said earlier, that was very beautiful. Plants don't care who you are.
Exactly.
All they care is you'll take care of them, and they take care of you in return.
Exactly.
In fact, our colleague, Professor Charlie Hall, he's shown how interacting with plants is so beneficial for health, but there are so many studies around the world speaking about that. So you talked about this initial support. You've been running this program for 26 years.
Yes, that sounds like a long time.
It does, but the point is that a lot of these concepts sometimes wither away. Sorry for the plant pun, but you've been able to sustain it. And I know part of it might be because of the mission, the direction it's going. But how have you expanded and supported this throughout? Has the state government or organizations come in to continue to support you, or are you always writing lots of grants to do this?
Well, a little bit of both.
Okay.
My position is funded
Yeah.
through AgriLife Extension, but our staff is funded through, grant funds and fee-based programming and things like that. So I'm constantly looking for groups that we can collaborate with that can help us to help fund staffing that we need, because we do a lot of curricula development, we do teacher training, we do a lot of, educator training for organizations like
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Clubs and after-school programs. And so, that's become a major part of my job. It didn't really start that way. I was more on the curricula side and the instructional side, and I still do a lot of that, but in my role now as an international coordinator, a lot of my job is looking for strategic partnerships and opportunities for grants and collaborations, not only with other educational entities, but with my research counterparts, so that we can do evaluation to show impact and what kind of impact gardening is really having on different aspects of children's lives.
You mentioned that the program has grown to how many countries now?
We have about 10.
10, okay.
Yeah.
Which was the first country and how did that come to be?
Our very first project was in Guatemala,
Okay.
and we had done some initial work with the Borlaug Institute, and they had some projects in Guatemala. And so I had a good friend there that actually, her background was in horticulture. We had taken undergraduate courses together here in A&M. Her family has a coffee farm in Guatemala.
Yeah, okay.
So she had done a lot of our translation into Spanish of our curricula pieces. And that was important because with us being a border state, we needed that anyway. So that was one of the first translation works we did, is to have it in Spanish. And with her having a background in horticulture, it was great because she knew what we were trying to explain and to talk about. But we did some initial work with schools in Guatemala and train the trainer programs, where we were training teachers and people in the community to volunteer and to work with the kids. And so that's a similar model that we use here in the U.S., where we train teachers or volunteers like master gardeners to help assist with program implementation. So that was our first one.
First one. And now, so what are the other countries?
We have projects in Mexico that we've done. We've had projects in Puerto Rico. We have some projects in South Korea. East Timor, which was a project we did with the Borlaug Institute. We have projects in Canada. We have some programs that we've done in the past in Afghanistan that we've trained National Guard workers that were going in and doing community development work. Right now I'm working on a project in Kyrgyzstan, which is with the Borlaug Institute. And actually the curricula has been approved by their Ministry of Education. So we're implementing it in 31 schools this summer through a summer camp program. But because they've approved it nationally, the intent is that we'll be training their regional staff and that it will actually be a national program within their country.
This is so awe-inspiring because the land grant mission always has been, you have an impact locally, regionally, nationally, and globally. It seems like in the last 26 years, your program has started reaching different parts of the world, but is also impacting kids right here at home as well.
And I think for kids to know that they're part of a bigger effort, right?
Yeah.
I did a training just today with some of the staff we hired in Kyrgyzstan on this project, and they will be helping with some of our teacher training and our school initiative group training, and they were like, it's so neat to see that this is part of a much bigger program, which is fun.
Well, I feel like this program should be really funded to the point where it can be expanded to each and every county, each and every state, which you said it is already part of different, but I guess the need is still there because still, as we know, both of us know that people who are outside of horticulture don't connect their daily produce purchases or the coffee they're buying or the tea. Everybody goes to Starbucks.
Right.
They forget that these are products of horticultural industries all around the world. And I just wanted to, if you had any thoughts, why is at least in the US, we find that there is an ignorance about horticulture. What do you think that is?
I think there's several reasons. One is I think that as our population has grown, that people are more and more removed, maybe from where their food comes from. I mean, I was fortunate. I grew up in a small town, and our family was in agriculture, and so we always had a garden. My grandparents always had a garden, so I knew that. But I saw this when I first did my student teaching, and I saw it when I was teaching at the prison, is a lot of my students, I mean, they had no idea.
Yeah.
And they were far removed. And what we see now is not only do the kids not know, but their parents didn't grow up with that either. And they may not be living close to their grandparents who may have done that just because people are moving. So I think that's where this tie, particularly with the adult Master Gardener program, where we've got adults in communities that we can partner with young people, that's a really powerful model too, because we want to share and to train that next generation of gardeners.
Yeah, or horticulturists
That's
as well.
correct. That's
so who
correct.
can really make sure we can keep growing the food. And I also feel like this is so important for food security, which is obviously our availability of food, but also our ability to grow food and support ourselves as well. I mean, during the storm in 2021, the freezing storm, I mean, there were challenges with food availability. So what you're doing with your efforts in JMG or Junior Master Gardener, it's really training the next generation of citizens.
And I think too, some of the research that we've shown is that children doing this, that there's a reach into the home. So we're not just making a difference with children, but also their families, and that their families are learning a lot about gardening and are getting interested in gardening at home, which is great.
So in your ideal world, because you're spending a lot of time on grants, trying to keep your team funded, in your ideal situation, what would support look like that this program continues in perpetuity?
Well, we're working on an endowment, which is something that I would really like to see, because you have to have staff. You just have to have staff for implementation. And so I will always continue working on grants, but being able to have staffing to really support teacher training and training local volunteers is critical, because we just can't be everywhere. We utilize our extension network a lot, but still, many of our county extension agents, they may not, we may work with our 4-H and youth development agents, which may not have a strong background in horticulture, or the ag agent may have some experience in horticulture, but not as much, and not all of our counties have county-funded horticultural positions, so that's a real need, I think, to be able to support that. A lot of the work that we've done lately has been around the area of nutrition and health. So we work a lot in Texas with the Better Living for Texans program, which is part of our SNAP-Ed funding program. And so that's been wonderful because we're an approved curricula through them. So we can get funding from their program to support not only some of our staff time for training, but also our county extension staff can utilize that to buy gardening materials and seeds and transplants and things for recipe tastings and demonstrations in the classroom, and to buy curricula for schools. And so that's been fantastic.
Well, when you mention curricula for students, what does a curriculum look like? What are the elements of the curriculum for a student or for a teacher training? What's the difference?
Well, we have a lot of kind of different options, and some of this is probably why our curricula and program looks a little different than the adult Master Gardener program. We have a core curricula that is probably more like the Master Gardener program in that it sort of covers the whole gamut of horticulture, from plants, soils, insects, fruits and vegetables, but we always have a life skill and career exploration component in all of our curricula. Our core curricula has teacher-led lessons, but also a student handbook, kind of like, almost like you think about a Boy Scout or Girl Scout handbook, that they do some things on their own. But what we found is that schools were also interested in more thematic curricula. So we have one that focuses on integrating literature and gardening that's built around children's books. We have one that's called Wildlife Gardener that focuses on gardening for habitat and pollinators. We have our Learn, Grow, Eat, Go curricula, which really integrates gardening, nutrition, and physical activity. That one we have for elementary school as well as preschool for 4 and 5-year-olds. And then we have some core curricula for middle school students. And I would say what makes our curricula unique is that it's not didactic learning, right? We know students learn best by doing and by hands-on.
There's a lot of activity.
Yeah, so lots of
fun, huh?
Yeah, lots of activity and lots of fun. I would say more inquiry-based learning, and particularly we're trying to introduce scientific methods. So introducing, experiments and, how you would set up an experiment, having kids think about a problem and come up with solutions for a problem. And gardening is also a great way to integrate subject areas. So many of our lessons, of course they touch on science, but they also touch on math. They also touch on reading and language arts. They also touch on health. So a lot of integration, and I think particularly for our younger grades that you may have teachers that are teaching more than one subject area. It's great because they really can integrate and touch other subjects that they might be teaching.
That's fascinating. Talking about horticulture, just in Texas alone, we have such a vibrant industry which contributes about $70 billion or more every year, and yet those folks are always coming to us as a department and saying, we don't have enough trained people coming to our industry. Do you think, I may be asking an obvious question, maybe this is a way for them to, for the students to really learn about horticulture and come to school to study horticulture? Where's the disconnect? Because if this is happening, there's a need. And maybe the idea is that scale up the Junior Master Gardener program. And that's what I was wondering is, right now you have the staff, and going back to my previous question, in your ideal world, if you needed to have 10 more people, do you think you'll be able to meet needs out there?
Absolutely. Certainly more. Right now, there's myself, and we have 2 other full-time people that are funded through grants and other.
What happens if a grant doesn't get funded?
Well, it's it's up to me to figure that out, So there's needs there. We've been able to find partnerships and collaborations to help, but it is limiting us to be able to offer new opportunities. And one area that we really see a need that we want to expand on is particularly the middle school range. And I say that because, I think a lot of the outreach that we've done trying to get kids thinking about horticulture as a career, we've waited to high school or upper high school. And it's really too late at that point, because now there's so much at the elementary school. Okay, plan what you want to do for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, right? Or in middle school, plan what you want to do for your high school career. And so, then on the upper end, we get kids coming into college. I teach a freshman class, and they're, some of them are coming in with 30 or 40 credit hours, and they still don't know really what they want to do, but they're stuck because they're coming in with all these hours. So I think getting to students earlier, letting them experience and see the breadth of horticulture. It really is the art and science. It's not just one, one area.
And the business too. You just said previously how people who learn these skills can become financially independent too at any stage of their lives. But going back to, sorry, I didn't ask this earlier. So Junior Master Gardener starts at what age and till what grade?
Well, we have we have curricula for 4 and 5-year-olds,
Okay.
all elementary school and middle school. We do have a few high school programs that are using the curricula. I would say most of those may be multi-age groups of children, like in community-based camps or summer programs, and the older children may be utilizing the program to teach younger children, so it's almost more of a leadership development program. I've told you one of my interests is that we would really love to have a ambassador program. And I feel like there's a great deal of merit for that. One is that we could train 8th grade freshmen, sophomores, right? Where they really get some intensive train the trainer. They get to come to campus. They get to visit industry. They get to see all that stuff, that there would be a leadership development component, but that part of their role as an ambassador would be able to lead and train others in the community. And I think there's a huge benefit to that, is because children love learning from other children. And so it would be benefit for those students teaching, but also on the receiving end for them to see people just a little older than them doing that is encouraging.
So a lot of undergraduate students in my classes have shared that their parents are not aware that horticulture is a vibrant discipline, as well as it offers a multitude of jobs. I mean, where the food is grown to how to improve the food. It perhaps is one of the disciplines that really spans from the very applied, where you're working right alongside the farmer and improving things, to the advances in genetics and gene editing, or understanding what genes do. So it's a really a big stretch. In fact, it has absorbed certain disciplines that we used to get degrees in. So my degree is in botany. I don't know which universities are still offering, but it's becoming very limited. So in a way, I think this is a discipline that has become a confluence of several technologies coming in, all the way from robotics and AI, because of how do we harvest big orchards with labor issues. So I think this is do you think this is the need of the future, that we really need to have our next generation train, and your program could be playing a pivotal role in that?
I think so, and I think too, for us to really to share just the breadth, with younger students, and we really try to do that within our curricula, in that, for younger students it may be looking at life skills training, like goal setting and teaching personal responsibility and things like that. But then as they get a little bit older, exposing them to career pathways that, wow, I didn't know that you could do that with a degree in horticultural sciences, or oh, I didn't know that was something that was a part of this discipline. And so I think that's important. And then part of our program is really, we encourage parent involvement. And so particularly at the school level, or after school programs, or in community-based clubs, we have parents that are heavily involved with maybe helping to lead, or we have very specific things within the curricula that kids take home to be able to share with their parents. And I think that's important, because we're training the kids, but we're also training the parents as well. Well,
I wish more people were aware of this, because this is my one experience. I always kind of educate the person who's checking out my groceries. They're throwing away my papaya or my fruit. It's like, no, this is gentle stuff.
Exactly.
Handle with care. But that's one part. So first of all, this is such an awe-inspiring program that you've created. That is fascinating. And you said that there are 38 other land-grant universities involved. And are they kind of come to you for guidance, and how does that work?
Well, we do all the curricula development here.
Okay.
So we manage the curricula development and the certification through our office. So a lot of the work that I do with other land-grant universities is often we're asked to travel to their state to do training. So they may bring county extension agents, they may bring teachers, they may bring academic faculty from horticulture or youth development that might be involved. And we do a lot of that. We have meetings online with our state coordinators to kind of keep them up to date with the latest projects and research and efforts. We have a number of our state coordinators that have collaborated with us on research projects, on research and evaluation projects, and on grant-funded
Wow.
programs. So, in a lot of different ways.
So it's an ongoing involvement. It's not like one and done. So this is like continuing to maintain that quality as well, I believe.
Right.
And grow together. Sorry for the pun again, but kind of continue to grow the concept.
Right. And they also, some of those extension programs also suffer with funding, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so some of those positions that are in a state coordination role may be in 4-H, some may be in horticulture, some may be in a large county program where they're taking on management of their state program through a county extension agent. So it really varies depending on the particular extension program. And then we have some programs that their extension agency may just not have somebody to identify as a state coordinator. And so we support those individually through our office. And so we offer online training. We have a national teacher leader conference that we do. So a lot of opportunities that our office tries to provide to help support local implementation and training.
Wow. I think I hope some philanthropists are listening over there, because you're really investing in growing great citizens for the future. And also with that, just teaching so many life skills and ensuring we also have food security. And my hope is that when these folks graduate and become parents themselves, they can encourage that generation to say, hey, you need to go to study horticulture.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. I have one final question. I mean, the impact that your program, your idea is having and with your team must be personally so gratifying.
It's, I tell students at the university, find something that you're passionate about. And I wake up every day and I get to have a job that I love,
Yeah.
and that I get to be a small part of making a difference. And that's what motivates me. That's what motivates our team, is to know that, wow, the tools that we create, the things that we do are really helping to grow good kids. And, the research shows it. I mean, kids becoming, better in school, increased academics. A lot of our work lately has been nutrition focused. Yeah. And so kids eating more fruits and vegetables, kids be willing to try a bigger variety of fruits and vegetables. But some of the things we've also seen is kids being more excited about coming to school if they have a junior master gardener program at their school.
Excellent.
Kids being able to share what they've learned with others. So a lot of really tangible things that are important for the well-being of children, both their physical health, but also their mental health as well.
Yeah, so you are really creating sustainable, society that has a good well-being as well as food security. So I mean, that's kind of the mission of our collective efforts in the department, of course. Well, this is really awe-inspiring. I've said that earlier. Anything else you want to share with us? If any student has come and give you any feedback sometime, and how it changed their life or what happened. Some examples.
There's so many.
I'm sure there are.
There's so many neat examples. One I can think of. We had a young group in the Lower Rio Grande Valley this was years ago, and they won our Junior Master Gardener Group of the Year. At that time, we did individual awards. Now it's kind of a part of the Master Gardener Award program, but we had this group of children, and they lived in a colonious area, no running water, no electricity. But these children started community gardens there, and so they got to come to campus and receive their award. We had to buy clothes for them to get to come. They had never come. They'd never stayed in a hotel. They'd never swam in a swimming pool, right?
Wow.
So all these experiences, and so they won the award, and one of the young men was Junior Master Gardener of the Year. And the county extension agent and the AmeriCorps volunteer that worked with that program, she said, we went to his home, and his father had died from diabetes, which is a pretty chronic problem
Yeah.
in the lower Rio Grande Valley. And the mother, though, because of his involvement, had gotten involved with an adult program, Growing Growers. And so she had gotten involved in gardening. And Andreas continued to be involved. And she said, when we went to their house, no running water, no electricity. And on the wall was his junior master gardener certificate.
Wow.
And that's the impact.
Yeah.
That's the impact. And, you know, and when I see students, I spoke to a freshman seminar class several years ago here, and there was a student in the class that goes, oh my gosh, I was in the junior master gardener. Wait, I have my certificate. And she had her certificate in her backpack. It was so cool.
Wow.
So we had a student that got her JMG certificate in 4th grade. She was here locally in the College Station School District. Came and majored in horticulture. She won one of the AIFD awards in floral design. She was a student employee in our office. So I think just kind of getting to see that full circle a little bit is pretty, you know, is pretty awesome.
Well, this program is really giving them strong roots so that they can really stand tall and be great citizens. So thank you, Lisa, for your time, for all the work you're doing. And I just hope that this program continues forever with support from, you know, as you've trained people to really support themselves.
And I encourage people, check out our website.
Yeah.
They can go to us through the departmental website, or if you do jmgkids.us, you can learn more about us. You can learn about the different curricula we have and opportunities. If you feel inspired and you want to give to our program, there's links on how you could do that to help us support teacher training and outreach that we want to do. And we feel like our job in our office is to serve. And, you know, we want to help others to be able to take this program to as many kiddos as we can.
I'm blown away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Horticultural Innovators. Subscribe if you want to learn more and spread the good word. Thanks and giga.